Hey everyone, my name is Stella and I'm one of the co-founders of Hoop. And today I am here with my co-founder Justin and we are talking about a really exciting new feature. Are you excited, Justin?
I am stoked.
All right, so tell us, let's just start quickly with what is Hoop and then
Yep.
what is the cool new thing that we're launching?
So, Hoop is a product that automatically captures all your tasks across your existing workplace tools and puts them in one spot so you never miss another task again.
Okay, and then what's the cool new thing that we're launching?
So, one of the tools that Hoops integrates with is your email. Email is a source of stress for a lot of people. There's a lot of tasks in there. You have to follow up on things. So, we have built a connection into Hoop where it will automatically monitor your inbox for you, and any important relevant tasks will automatically get captured and pulled into Hoop so you don't lose them in the shuffle of that busy inbox.
Got it. So if I'm hearing this correctly, I just connect my inbox and then somehow using AI magic, Hoop is going to take out the tasks and put them in a to-do list.
Yeah, exactly. One of our big goals with Hoop is like you need to stay on top of stuff. It's got to be in one place. You can't be checking, place to place to place because by the time you check the last place, there might be something new in the first place and you would never know. So it's all got to be in one place so you can see it all at once.
Yeah, the context switching is really what kills your productivity, I
Yeah,
feel like.
yeah. And it's such a source of stress and anxiety because you just never can feel comfortable that there's not something that you're missing because you can only look at one place at a time, really. So,
Let's just dive into why we decided to do this.
okay.
And specifically, we can talk a little bit about like there's so much noise in the inbox. How
Yeah.
does Hoop know like what is a task and what is not a task?
Yeah, I mean, that's a little bit of the secret sauce there. There's a combination of some plain old heuristics that we're using to filter out some stuff that is likely things that you don't want in your inbox. I'll go into more detail there in a second. And then we're using AI, and that's kind of where the magic secret sauce is. So, on the one side, we are doing things like identifying newsletters, marketing messages, cold outreach, notification emails, things like that. And then we can just avoid some of that stuff. So like if somebody sends you like a completely cold outreach, somebody's asking you to, I got a thing the other day, somebody was trying to get me to order t-shirts. Like I don't want that in my to-do list. I'm already busy. I got enough stuff to do. I don't need that there. So Hoop will ignore that and be smart about, the messages that it ignores. For the messages that don't get ignored, which are going to be messages from real people that you've corresponded with before, internal and external, that's where we use AI. So we've crafted a pipeline that takes the message content in, processes it, looks through, and tries to identify tasks. And we've done a lot of testing and research around this. We have a whole way of describing what a task is and what good tasks are and bad tasks are, and we have scoring and filtering mechanisms. But basically, yeah, Hoop uses some AI magic to pull out the good tasks, bring the relevant context along with it so you know what it is, and put it there in your to-do list for you.
So if I'm a Hoop user, what do I need to do to set this up? Do I need to like tell it stuff or do I need to put in some prompts or how does
Yeah.
it work?
Yeah. I mean, really nothing. I mean, the one thing you got to do is connect your email inbox. So if you're already a Hoop user, this is a new feature. So there's a new button in the connections panel. You go there, you connect. It's going to run you through the Google Auth again to connect your inbox. And that's it. Then you're set up and it will just start running.
Okay, so it just runs in the background. It's grabbing
Yep.
tasks
Yep.
as I'm going throughout my day. How often does it update?
Basically, anytime you get an email. So it doesn't like an initial pass on whatever's in your inbox to get whatever might be relevant in there. It's not going to get stuff from like 5 years ago. Obviously, you're not going to want a task, but it's smart about that in the initial run. And then from there, just anytime you get an email, it'll look through that and see if there's something relevant in there. A big part of our philosophy at Hoop is that the user can't have to do work to do this. Like everybody's already too busy and has too much work, so they can't be more work to collect your tasks. So that's why Hoop just runs in the background. You don't have to do anything. It's just going to show up. It'll do things like automatically put due dates and stuff too. So you get reminders and everything. Try to just really reduce the work required to stay on top of things.
Can you just describe that too? What do you mean by due dates and reminders? How does that work?
When you think about a task in general, there's probably like three fundamental things related to a task. There's who is assigned to that task. In Hoop, it's basically you. There is some functionality where you can assign it and delegate it to other people, but for the most part, we're talking about tasks that are assigned to you, which means you are responsible for doing them. And then not always, but often there's a due date, right? When does this task need to be accomplished by? So Hoop uses AI to infer all of those things based on messages, conversations, etc. So in the case of email, if somebody writes you an email and they say, it could be a long email, but in the middle of that somewhere it says something like, please send me the invoice by the end of the week. I don't know, I'm making something up here, but something like that, right? Hoop will have the task of send the invoice, and Hoop can be smart about automatically applying the due date, be relative to whatever date it is today. If it was Monday, it would be the following Friday. It can automatically add that to the task. So that does two things. One, when you're in Hoop and you're looking at it, you can see that, oh, this is due by next Friday. Good to know. But also, ahead of that, if you haven't already marked that task as completed, Hoop will send you a reminder. You can customize if it goes to Slack, email, or other sources, but you'll automatically get a reminder the day before being like, hey, you haven't completed this yet. Don't forget, you got to do it by tomorrow. So even if you're not like grooming and combing through your whole task list every single day, it's not going to let stuff like that go unnoticed.
So if you were to email me, which would be crazy because we never
we don't do a lot
email,
of that,
but
people do.
Yeah, of course. So let's say you were to email me and you would ask me like, hey, Stella, I need you to, I don't know, review this ad copy by the end of the week.
Yeah.
And I totally miss that because I'm busy running from meeting to meeting and you're
probably got
waiting on
150
that.
other messages.
Exactly. I can expect that Hoop is going to message me or send me a reminder in Slack so that I don't miss that.
Yeah. So you'll get a couple. The next morning, it'll be, if you haven't checked Hoop, the next morning it'll be like, hey, here's the stuff that I found for you yesterday, just so you know. So it'll let you know about that. So you could see it there. And then again, as that due date approached, the day before it was due, if you still hadn't marked it, checked it off, it would nudge you again that this is still a thing that's out there.
Okay, so I got to ask you, I'm sure a lot of folks are going to wonder about privacy and because it's their email inbox, it's maybe not. Well, how are we thinking about privacy if folks were to ask about that?
Obviously, privacy and security are super important with all this stuff. When you connect Hoop, the product or the app has access via APIs to your email, it will see each email as it comes in, and it takes that data and sends it through our AI processors. We use mostly OpenAI's processing right now. At times we do use other services. Whatever we use, we always make sure that they are not training on the data. So your private emails and Slack messages and whatever else are not going into training sets for AIs. Once that AI pipeline process finishes, we get back a task. The task includes some information related to the email. It might be something that was asked of you in the email. It'll have an AI summary of some of the context of the email so you can understand the task. Again, the due dates and things like that. After that, when that's all done, we don't save the emails. We don't want to be in the business of saving your email inbox to another server.
Nope.
Same for Slack messages. So those things go away. We do preserve a link to the email in your inbox, so you can always click that link and it will take you back to Gmail and you can go back to the message, but that's just a link, not the content of the email itself. So we get rid of that content as quickly as we can. Because we don't want to be responsible for storing that any longer than we need to for the AI processing.
Just to summarize, we scan the inbox. We are looking for a task. We are using only APIs that do not train on any user data. And then once we extract that task, we no longer have access to that data. It goes away. But if I'm the user, I can go into my list in Hoop and see both the email and then respond from there if I need to.
So from the task, you can click through the email and draft a response in your email app, right? Like that doesn't happen in Hoop,
exactly.
but that link is preserved. So you don't have to go dig through your email and find it again. You can just link directly to it.
Thank you. That's what I was trying to get at.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So just a couple other quick things that I'm sure folks are wondering, like, how does seeing the email tasks or tasks from email alongside Slack and meetings, like how does that help a busy person? And what's the thinking beyond having everything in one place?
Yeah, I mean, I think what tends to happen when people are busy, you got back-to-back meetings, maybe you got half an hour here and there to do stuff. When you go and check Slack, there's a million unread messages. You got a bunch of stuff in your inbox, especially for people with external facing roles where they're dealing with like clients, customers, that kind of stuff. There's tons of emails. What can happen is people end up doing whatever the most thing that came in most recently is. right? Like I'm sitting there, somebody DMs me something in Slack. I'm like, okay, I got to respond to this person and I'm going to, answer them or send them the thing or whatever. That is not a very efficient way of working because that probably is not the most important thing for you to be doing at that time. So it's a very reactive way of working and it doesn't get the most important work done first. And so by pulling everything into one spot, it gives you this bird's eye view of everything that needs to be done. And you can start to be smarter about choosing to work on the thing that's actually going to make the biggest difference. We've done a little bit in Hoop to try to help highlight the most important tasks so those come to your attention automatically and make that job easier, especially for people who have a lot of tasks. It's less to sift through and rises to the surface. There's a lot more we can do, and we got tons of plans on how we can do that and help people prioritize. But getting everything in one place and also having a comprehensive list, right?
Got it. So right now, what platforms are supported and what are you thinking for the future?
So right now, if you were to sign up for Hoop this moment, it requires a Google account. So you sign in with your Google account and that gives access to your, assuming you allow permissions, to your calendar and your email. So from there, we support Zoom and Google Meet. We support Google Workspace's email, and then we support Slack. We've chosen those various tools because they're all communication tools, and we found that a lot of tasks come through communication channels, people asking each other, telling each other, implying that other people should do things. So that tends to collect a lot of tasks, the majority of them. So that's where we've started from there. The obvious things that we are going to do beyond that are more meeting platforms, more audio platforms. There is some interesting things we could do with in-person conversations too, audio capture there and converting tasks there. And then we've thought about different documentation and task management tools as well. We may start to delve into those, but at the moment we're just focused on that communication suite.
Awesome. Okay. So in your ideal world, how is a person using Hoop, like a busy professional, in their day-to-day, and sort of how does the email fit into that?
Yeah, I mean, I think like the promise of Hoop, right, is that you're not going to miss a task. And so it pulls everything in one place. I find that for myself and for people who tend to get a lot of value out of Hoop and use it regularly, you create kind of a rhythm of checking it. It doesn't mean you have to check it all the time, all day, every day. Some people do have it kind of open in the background all the time so they can just look periodically, but you don't have to do that. I find for me, now that I've used it for a long time and I've gained trust that it's comprehensive, it's going to get everything, it's all going to be in there. When I start my day, I figure out what's in there and maybe prune some things out that are already done or are no longer relevant, move some things into a list called Today. I move the things into the list that I want to get done for that day. I just drag them over. I think about that list as the stuff that I want to get done. My goal is every day, at the end of the day, my Today list is empty because I've gone through and knocked all that stuff out. So I think that tends to work pretty well. I check it a couple of times a day just to make sure I'm on track and getting to the right things, prioritizing the things that I meant to prioritize.
Yeah.
And that's really it. It doesn't have to be super involved or super overwhelming, but just knowing that there's this place where all the things are is great. And I find often when I do check it, I'm like, oh yeah, I did say I was going to do that. I better go do that now.
Yeah.
I told somebody I was going to send them an asset or a document, or I was going to schedule a meeting. I want to be the kind of person that when I say that I'm going to do something, that I actually follow through on that commitment. And it can be easy to just forget about those things sometimes, especially when you come out of a meeting and you go right into something else.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Justin. And if folks have questions or they want to learn more, they have feedback, what's the best place to do that?
Well, certainly check out our website. There's a little button in the bottom corner of every page where you can reach us at any time. So you can contact us, and if you have questions, feedback, whatever, that's an easy way to do it. You can also just send an email to feedback@hoop.app, and those are probably the best ways.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Sure thing.